Hey, everybody, and welcome to another episode of Eating at a Meeting. Here we go. And I am so excited to bring back to the show Amy Graves, this woman right here to the left of me, I believe that is. We're going to talk about allergies, sensitivities, and choice, and why the hidden consumers matter in event food and beverage. You are on the show. Welcome. Hello, my friend. I'm so excited to have you. So we spoke 15 and a half months ago. I did the little math on it about you writing this book, The Hidden Consumer. And now it is out and mine is en route from Amazon to get here. So I can't wait to hear what you've learned, writing this book. And I know that's the name of your company as well. But the hidden consumer is finally here. So what's the biggest lesson that you learned while writing the book that you didn't expect?
I didn't expect the amount of the American population that struggles with food for whatever reason. It's not even just food sensitivity. Sometimes it's ethical principles, but it's like almost 60% of the country struggles with food.
60,
wow. 60, right. And that's because you have to factor in there's a huge portion of Americans that have allergies that are not recognized by the federal government, so they're not part of the stats.
Right.
And that's where the biggest problem comes in.
Which would be yours, which is corn and then garlic and a variety of other things. And
tomatoes.
Because there's tomatoes. Nightsage is huge. And alpha-gal, which is growing dramatically. I want to say hi to Nancy Sutter Burns, who's on Instagram over here. I can't pull her in because it's over there, but yeah, she's listening to us on Instagram. So hello, Nancy. If you have any questions for Amy, let us know. But that's amazing. I mean, because I've always talked about, like here's food allergies, here's medical conditions like celiac disease and diabetes, and then religious-based practices, and then ethical or choices of vegan, vegetarian, etc. So I always estimated it, putting the numbers together like I did in my math was like about 45%, but you're saying 60%.
It's the hidden consumer that I identified fall into 5 different categories.
Okay.
If you take in health concerns that aren't just like celiacs and IBS, you're also dealing with people who have like chronic inflammation. You're talking about people who have kidney failure. We're talking about people there's a wide spectrum of health issues that people have to be really conscious about what they're eating. And unfortunately, at the end of the day, you can't trust what you buy in a grocery store, which is a huge theme throughout my book, because you just can't buy food safely anymore, not in America, unfortunately.
Right. So. Yeah. Well, and Lynn, my other friend Lynn, is here, and she says hello. She's in Arizona. Nancy's in New Jersey. And going back to the corn thing real quick, and Colleen from Zigo Food said to me one day, is like the little plastic thing at the bottom of the fruits and vegetables and the bottom of the chicken. Yeah, is corn made from corn.
It is.
Yeah. So you wouldn't know that.
No, you wouldn't know that. And I'm a parts per billion sensitive. So like I don't like the first line of my book is I can't buy food in a grocery store, because even the meat, even if everything is done organically, which USD organic is not a high standard, you're still getting corn, because if the animal eats corn, that corn gets into your food, and now I'm going to get sick if I eat anything so the packaging and how the animal is raised is going to make me sick.
Wow. And Candace, who's got alpha-gal from 2 alpha-gals, she gets sick from eating vegetables that cow manure was used to grow those vegetables. Yes.
Yeah.
Alpha-gal is so strong. Yeah.
Yeah. And it's only because they're eating the cow that was raised on corn. So like in my case, I can eat the vegetables where the cow's manure, but the cow was raised on a ranch. So they're eating
Okay.
whatever, they're just, out grazing, and that's all they do all day. And and thankfully in Southern California, we don't have cornfields. I'm safe.
Yeah. Yeah.
But yeah, because when I lived in Minnesota, I had issues with the same thing. I had friends who were farmers. They would bring in their harvest, and I couldn't eat it because they feed their cows and their chickens corn. So yeah, that does make sense. It's been a while. My goodness, it's been like a decade since I've had to think about that.
Right. Yeah. Well, and I will put up the link to that your previous interview from 15 months ago, so people can really delve into and learn more about what that is. But so from writing this, I mean, the 60%. What were some other things that broadened the conversation of what that hidden consumer is? And one other hidden consumer thing that I say too, when you're thinking about eating, or when I put it under dietary needs, I have a fifth one, which is physical disabilities. Right?
It's in my book. It's in my book. Yes.
And even at dinner last night, my friend Dawn was telling me that her son or her husband or whatever is paraplegic, and they're trying to get in historic buildings in my town. And they're like, well, we're grandfathered in, so we don't have to worry about that. And so she's like, you're willing to forego these 2 or 3 people coming in to eat in your building or, visit your space because, we're grandfathered in.
But it's not 2 or 3 people.
Right.
And it goes back. So before we went live, you made a comment about, just because you're not offering it doesn't mean people don't want it.
Right.
Just because you're not accessible doesn't mean there aren't people who want to be there.
Mm-hmm.
And I'm the chapter president for my National Association of Women Business Owners in my area. And as the president, I walk in and I will go through every building that we are considering to do an event at, but I go through with my wheelchair. If I can't get the front door open by sitting in my wheelchair, you're immediately off the list, and I'll cancel the appointment right then and there.
Wow.
Because there's no point. I am not going to sit around and wait for someone to open the door for me. That just nobody wants to be so disrespected like that. I'm an adult woman. I run my own business. Treat me like an adult, not a child who's a toddler waiting to be helped and handed everything. That's not the point. Yeah. Right. And there are organizations in the area that refuse to work with my chapter until I am no longer president.
Really?
Because they don't want to make the accommodations for me to get into their buildings or to be able to function inside their buildings.
Oh my gosh. Wow.
And they're a nonprofit. So I'm like, what you're literally saying is you're only a nonprofit to people who are able-bodied.
Oh my God, that just blows my mind. Wow.
The things I have experienced.
Yeah.
Yeah, it's crazy. Literally, they sent me an email. One of the companies sent me an email. So are you still president? I'm like, yep. Okay, well, we'll check back in next year. The gall. It's a good thing.
Do they think that just because you're not president, you're still not going to come to the events?
Well, they think it doesn't matter.
Right.
They have to make sure they can accommodate the people who are in charge and running, but they don't actually care about the people who would attend. That says a lot.
That does say a lot. Offline, tell me who that is so I don't give them any money, right? I mean,
it's not a national organization. It's something very local. So, and it's north of me. So I'm like, it blows your mind. But yeah, people with disabilities are a huge part of, and it's one of my, and it's interesting because in the book, I walk through the 5 groups of who is the hidden consumer. And it's I know I've got my disability group here, but they're not the same as your health group. There's 2 different reasons here of why you have to be concerned about who can actually access your product. So
okay, and did I cut you off before you told me who your 5 different categories of hidden consumers
I haven't
are?
actually. You're going to actually put me on the spot, aren't you?
I am.
I have to remember all of my 5 categories. So you have your people who have government recognized allergies, right?
Okay.
Wheat, soy, peanut, those are your recognized government allergies. Then you have people like me who have allergies that are not recognized by the government. And more often than not, it takes a long time to get diagnosed. But because it's not a recognized allergen, it means nobody has to accommodate you.
Seriously.
Right? Seriously.
Even though the Americans with Disabilities Act says that if it impedes, really,
it does not mean what. Yeah, the ADA is such. It doesn't really do anything to really guarantee that. Yeah,
it's the bottom of the minimum.
It's the bottom of the bottom. Yeah.
Yeah.
You have people with health issues, celiacs, things of that. You've got your people with disabilities, and then you have people who have health concerns. So this goes beyond like, heart attacks, diabetes. We're looking at things like that. And there's also, maybe it was 6 groups, because I know I have people who have ethical concerns.
Okay.
But the interesting thing is, in the book, I really had to take apart what a vegan versus vegetarian, and then you have whole foods versus plant-based, because you've got with animal rights and 2 people, and then the whole foods and plant-based aren't in it because of the animals, but they're still living almost that lifestyle and understanding what that difference was. So,
right. And the ethical also comes down to the
environment.
Yeah. I was going to say global warming. Yeah. All of that. Yeah.
Yeah. Well, like PLAs is like, I wrote a little bit on PLAs and did some research on it, that, PLAs are not the environmentally friendly plastic that we think they are, because it requires, as Americans, we would have to separate PLA plastic out of our recycle bin into a separate recycle bin. And then PLAs would have to go to a separate facility where there's only 4,000 of across the world to recycle an actual plastic based on vegetables and actual organic matter. So it doesn't do us any good.
And chatting with my friend Abby yesterday. Was that yesterday? She did an event in Southern California, and whatever, I don't remember what county or it was, but they had put in a mandate that all plasticwares had to be marine safe, right? And they were looking at cups, and there is not a single cup that meets those demands. And then she read down at the very, very bottom, and look, there are some exceptions until these items are available, right? And so I'm like, how do you know that? And like, what are you supposed to do if you're trying to do the right thing? And then again, who's going to come and check all your items, right?
Right. Yeah. Well, and then it's like for me, like, I'm allergic to PLAs because PLAs are made from corn. So like, but it's the same thing. It's like, when people are looking for like these safe marine and safe things, plastics are just not going to be safe. No matter what we do, at the end of the day, the smallest structure is still a plastic that isn't going to break down. And it all comes down to that very smallest molecule. And that's the problem. And we can't fix that. There's been no solution to fixing that as of today.
Wow.
So it's going to continue to kill the environment. We just really have to reduce how much plastic we're using.
Right. Yeah.
Which is hard now.
Well, because it's everywhere. Yeah, exactly. Yeah. And then if you go back and listen, and I will find the link, if you go back and listen to the original episode of me interviewing Amy on here, like, she buys all of her stuff directly from farmers and uses glass containers and things like that to get her food. So it's really interesting to dig deep into that. All right, let's dive into the book some more. And going back to the very, very front of it, though, is that our friend Kyle Dine, he wrote your foreword of the book. And in it says, the book is really about listening. What are the top businesses and event planners, or what are the top things that businesses and event planners, need to listen when they're talking to hidden consumers, their participants in their events, or their guests in hotels or convention centers?
It really comes down to stop assuming.
Okay.
I think there are so many event planners and events that I've gone to where they just assume they can accommodate me. And how dare I tell them that I can't be accommodated? Hang on, I have a cat that's going crazy. So that's the main thing. Just like I did an event with a major bank in San Diego last week, and they did the right thing. Like they had it listed out. It was a portion of their form to sign up for the event was, do you have food sensitivities? What can we do? You know, what can you eat? How can we help you? And then here's an email to follow up in case you don't hear from us, right? Great. They did all that right. They never did follow up with me because I literally put in, you cannot accommodate me. But while I'm at the event, they have servers walking around. There was no actual sit down meal. It was just you're being served from the platters. And I'm like, no, I said, you can't accommodate me. You know, there's nothing you can feed me. Oh, we've got vegetarian in the back. No, vegetarian's worse. And they're like, oh, well, I'm sure there's something we can do. I'll have someone talk to you. Like, did you not listen? Oh, right. No. I froze. Okay. I'm like, oh no, and that's the whole problem. Like you're not listening to what I had to say. If I say you can't accommodate me, I don't want to give you my story. You have a job. Right. You're doing things. Just say, okay, great. If you change your mind, this is the person you can talk to if you want to find out for sure. Great. Right. I'm not going to because I know.
Right. Yeah.
I wrote the book on it.
Right.
That is my fun topic. That's usually my rebuttal. I wrote the book on it. You might want to read this.
Well, in back in May, Food Allergy Awareness Month, Amanda said, psychologist, she's like, we have to accept that. We have to accept that answer, to be willing to accept that answer and be okay with it. And instead of saying, okay, well, no, I really want to feed you, saying, okay, just exactly like they said, well, if you change your mind or, you know, we can, you know, let us know how we can help you. Right. Because if I can't, you know, if you can't find what you need where we are, you know, come back to me and let's figure it out. Right.
Yeah. Yeah, absolutely. Yeah. And it's funny because again, I used that example in my book because I'm like, when I first got diagnosed and I was going to farmers markets and all these home bakers would be like, oh, we wouldn't put that crap. This is going to be safe for you. I'm like, where's your ingredients? And then I would go, this has corn, this has corn, this has corn. This is not what you think it is. How are you selling this as clean? And clean is a random term. There's no legal requirement about what it means. Anybody can use it to describe their product. So it's, you know, you got to be really skeptical when people start using those kinds of terminology. But again, I'm digressing.
Well, and it's funny. I was dog sitting last week, I think it was, because it's my part-time job. And I was going to go, she had pre-chopped garlic, you know, in the jar that you can buy. Right. And we have some here at home too, but I looked at it and I don't know what made me look at the ingredient list, but xanthan gum was in it. And I'm like, why do you have xanthan gum in chopped garlic? Right. And I came home and looked at ours and ours doesn't have that. So I'm like, I immediately put it back in her fridge. I'm like, I'm not going to use it just because of the xanthan gum. And I'm like, I don't understand the need. Right.
It's a preservative. So
yeah.
My guess, if I looked at the rest of the ingredients, it isn't an actual garlic. Like it's not going to be a natural ingredient. That's why the xanthan gum had to be added. That's typically what I find. So. And
how do we, discertain that or ask whatever the word is, and like, and my big thing too is, I actually asked a friend of mine who works in sales and hotels in Pennsylvania. And because they've got, you know, they're supposed to be putting unpackaged food should be labeled with the top 9 allergens. And I was asking her, you know, do you do that? And I think she said the chef came back and said, well, we'll tell the planner if they ask us. Right. But you're not going to tell the person who's putting it in their body. Right. The planner.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. So you've got so many people in between, and the person who's planning the event is the one picking the food. Right. And there's a lot of people in between that.
Yeah. And I would say, because of my own experience, how I started to look at this over the last decade is, we don't know every single thing that people are allergic to. There's just no way.
Right. Mm-hmm.
And this is where transparency has to come into play. When I did my my launch event on September 3rd for the book, I made sure we had placards out with the name, not only the name of what was being served, but every single ingredient. Like, no, and I had people show up for my event that had an allergy I would never have expected, but they were able to find 2 things to eat because I labeled what was actually used to make that product. And then they took home the recipes because we made sure they had the recipes to take home with them.
That's nice.
Share the love. It was things they hadn't
Right.
had for a while and didn't realize they could make it. So that's why my next book might be a recipe book.
Why not? Right? Because you have to figure out how to do it.
Yeah.
And it's looking at the labels, and this is not a joke. Leanne Mandelbaum posted that today. It's not a joke, right? This is a reality for people. It's not, something that we can just skirt off and not deal with, right? It is the reality for 60,000 people. Yeah. Okay. And on that note, right, you've said that the hidden consumers aren't a niche anymore. And at 60,000 people, that makes them not a niche, right? So how big, is this market? And what happens when companies overlook it? Do you have any research on what has happened with people not doing it?
We're seeing it right now. Let's look at the wine industry.
Okay.
Wine industry is failing.
Mm-hmm.
Why are they failing? Because when you are diagnosed with any level of allergen, your doctor will almost always tell you, stop drinking alcohol. Mm-hmm. We don't know exactly what's in it. It's highly likely it's going to make you worse. Stop drinking it. Well, the wine industry is refusing to tell people what goes into their wine. And like in California, the wine lobby is pushing harder to let wine makers hide more of the ingredients. So they can say something's 100% varietal and it not actually be. Like it's like up to 10% of it could actually be grapes of another varietal from another area, could be even from another country. You just don't know. And when you start mixing varietals and when you start blending things, even at a little bit, you're going to start introducing other aspects that are going to make people sick. Mm-hmm. But people are just going to go drinking and they're not going to understand. So there's not a lot of transparency in the wine industry. And all you hear about every day, I hear, because I like to drink wine. Like I've had to be really cognizant of what I drink, my questions I ask, I have to know exactly what's going on. And all they do is complain that they're losing money. Every year they're losing more and more money. It's because nobody wants to drink, or it's the millennials. They just don't know how to enjoy wine. I'm like, no, you don't know how to reach people. Mm-hmm. You're so stuck in this old-fashioned way of advertising and making your product that you're not being transparent. And with the amount of people now that have some kind of food-related sensitivity, if you can't get straight answers out of somebody, you're not going to buy it. And more often than not, you will avoid an entire industry just because you don't want to take a chance to risk your health. So that's part of it. And the other side of it is the marketing. There's no truth in our marketing. I don't care what, there's supposed to be truth and you're supposed to do this and that. No, there isn't. There is a cosmetic company that uses the word clean on their products. One product has 6 pages of ingredients. What? How is that clean? What is your definition of clean that you think 6 pages of ingredients, none of them natural, is it's
right? Yeah.
Anyway, it's building trust for your brand. Like,
yeah. Clean to me in my thought process is like 9 ingredients or less, preferably 5 ingredients or less, right? If you're buying a packaged food, right? And, and it cracks me up when I look at some brands and every single ingredient has the word organic in front of it, right? Where do I find the actual ingredient versus the word organic?
Organic. And here's what's interesting. If it's a U.S. product, it has to be USDA certified to use organic. However, not all of them are. So you have to do your due diligence and make sure it has the USDA stamp on it. That's USDA organic stamp. I'm like, it's, and with the USDA being cut, no one's going to double check this information anymore. So you literally can put whatever you want on a package, which it's only going to hurt the food industry more.
Right.
Because unless you're deliberately trying to do the right thing, you're going to get lost in the fold because you're not marketing yourself in a way that's going to make people find you. So,
and what is that? I mean, how do these companies jump above that, you know, that all that messaging that's across the board on the TV, on the buses and everything about the food that they're eating or where they're going? I mean, how does that company, that property, you know, take that step above?
Well, first they hire me.
And me to go through their menus. Exactly.
Yes. Yes. Hire me and my team of people.
Yes. Right. Yeah.
There's a couple of key things. And when people have, like I've met with a few companies this week who they're not ready to take on a marketer, but I will always give people the same simple steps to get started. And if they work for you, call me because you'll be making money. So the first thing is, what are your definitions? Are you using the word clean? Are you using organic? But you're like, here in California, California certified organic surpasses USDA or organic in standards. So when I go to my farmers markets, I'm only shopping at California certified organic, which there's only 15 farmers markets in Southern California that hit that criteria because it's so hard to meet and it's expensive. I mean, if you're going to put the money in, right? The other thing I talk about is why. Why do you think your product is a far and above? And I have them tell me what it is they do differently. I'm like, okay, that, flip it, put that on social media. That's your story that you start with. I tell my clients that if I'm working with someone, it's because they have a product with a purpose. You created your product for a reason. Why isn't that story out on social media at least once a month? Get it out there. It's got to be in rotation. And then the other thing is the clients I work with, they're all focused on their ingredients. They put time and effort and attention into every single ingredient picked. So those ingredients had better be on your homepage. And it better be like a synopsis of this is why we did this. This is what we did. We were very specific. We looked at specific things when we were picking our ingredients. I mean, so if you look up a company called Rebel Aid, I was just talking to them last week. They created their product for a specific reason, but they didn't only pick their ingredients. They literally searched for someone who could make the product in an ethical way that they could be proud to have as part of their company. So it comes down to how are they producing their product too. There was nothing like any of that was on their website. It's not on their social media. Those are the simple things to start.
But I mean, it brings me back though to Aaron McKenna, who has Aaron McKenna Bakeries, and it used to be Baby Cakes in New York City. I tried to go there the other day, but apparently it's closed down. But she stopped saying, hey, I'm a vegan bakery, I'm a gluten-free bakery, and because it's a bad rap. I mean, is it time to flip that switch? I mean, are people, but even there's, you know, marketers that saying, don't put the word vegan on your buffet label because people will walk around it and not eat it. You know, people
this goes back to I mean, I'm going to avoid it because vegan means corn. Let's be honest. I have to avoid it. That's my allergen right there. Like if you are vegan or vegetarian, whole food, well, not whole food based, but if you're vegan or vegetarian, it is a privilege to be able to eat like that. I mean, the amount of allergens that are included in those foods is mind boggling.
Oh yeah.
So you have to, again, I don't think a majority of Americans are going to bypass it anymore because we are all trying to eat healthier. We're struggling with the food and I think a decade ago, absolutely. But we have got to get to, this is the point is that of the whole book, we have hit a level where every single person I've talked to has a food story. in a decade. Nobody has said, when I've told them my story, they go, oh, I have this friend, I have this cousin, I have this
Mm-hmm.
family member, my life is like this, or everybody has a food story. Everybody is, when they go out to eat, they're being more careful than normal, like what we would
Mm-hmm.
consider normal, because the new normal is we can't trust the food we're eating. And a majority of people know that.
And my conversation last week was with Chris Reed, who's the executive director of Slow Food USA. And she was saying she doesn't have any processed food in her house, but it's going back to using whole foods and understanding truly what that is. And that's, I mean, I know Slow Food was created to combat fast food coming into Italy in the first place, but it really is knowing where your food comes from and buying it direct from farmers. But not everybody has that luxury or that ability to do that, and the money to do that.
Right. And that's something I tackle a little bit. I mean, my book is only 140 pages, so I'm really clear and concise on every topic I'm talking about on this. But that's a huge issue that we have in this country too. The people who depend the most on the cheapest food are the people who can't afford the medical care for the health issues they're developing. They're eating the cheapest food, or they're in a food desert where there literally is nothing around them that's a whole food. Our entire food system is based on, if you want to stay healthy and eat healthy, you have to have the bank account to back it up. And that's not right. But if you look, the United States and Israel both voted in the United Nations saying that food is not a basic human right. And if we look at how the food in this country is set up, how we can't trust our grocery stores, that's exactly, that is a philosophy they've believed in for decades, that we don't deserve the human basic right of food.
Like, if we don't have food, we die.
Yeah. Well, it's like, I've been, we traveled to France, and, I always struggle with TSA and my safe water, because I can't drink water out of water fountains. I can't drink water out of plastic bottles. I have to bring my own, which is either in one of my stainless steel water bottles, or I have to bring a glass bottle of water. Those are my choices. Leaving France, I was given the riot act. How dare I think I deserved safe water?
Wow.
They said, you can drink water anywhere. No, you can't. I'm like, and I wrote the book on it, but you probably can't read it.
It's not translated to French yet.
And actually it is, and it will be available at the end of October, because I have an international launch coming up. So it's available in other languages. It's just, you're putting basic people in charge of allergies and monitoring others people's food. And there's just so many things that aren't safe out there. Like, my husband and I wanted to travel to like Australia. We can't. There's no way I could have safe water that I would need for that long of a trip, because we're talking almost 2 days, right? I'm like,
yeah.
You can't go 2 days. You can't go 24 hours really without water. Like,
yeah.
And there's nothing else I can drink. So, yeah, there's deserts everywhere, and people, again, I think more and more people are realizing that those issues exist.
Right. And we have to be those people that are pushing for the change. Yeah.
We're the advocates.
Right. Exactly. So the book shares, and this is just me chatting with you, knowing that this personal experiences and business strategies. Can you share a story from a consumer perspective that you think a planner or a brand should hear? Yeah.
Ooh, wow. Should hear. I think I have a lot of those stories. I just have to think what would be the best one. Do you want like someone who's going to I was at an event in Sacramento 2 years ago, and the event planner put no effort into making sure there was anything safe for anybody.
Interesting.
Right. So even the people who were with me, like I would say a quarter of the people around me had celiacs or had a gluten intolerance, and they were looking for food that was gluten-free. This group ended up spending an additional $200,000 for last-minute food prep. because
Wow.
they had nothing that was gluten-free. And the amount of complaints they got that they spent X amount of money on tickets, because tickets were almost $300 a pop.
Mm-hmm.
And between a quarter to a half of the people there couldn't eat anything, or all they got was one thing. And there's nothing there for me. Like, I'm like, yeah, I literally had to pack food and bring it with me. And I would go to my hotel room to eat for lunches and meals because there's absolutely nothing there. I mean, I couldn't even drink the water. So
so say that number again, 200,000?
200,000.
For lack of it.
I was on the planning, I was in the committee because it was the organization I'm involved with. And I'm like, what are we doing? Like, that was my question. What are you doing for people who have allergies or food sensitivities? Oh, no, don't worry about it. The hotel will take care of it. We're fine.
Yeah.
No planning whatsoever. And then they got mad that they blew their budget.
Oh, like, yeah.
It was a 3-day event. Not even a 3-day, it was a 2-day event. And the hotel's going to charge you if they.
Oh, they are, yeah.
Last minute. Oh, yeah. And
because purchasing the food, you know, can we get the food in? You know, do we already have it in stock? Yeah.
They got robbed.
Yeah. And then I was saying earlier, you know, and the price gratuity is 26%, and then tax on top of that. So, I mean, if it was 200,000, was that before or after tax, right? I mean,
it was after tax. It was after tax.
Okay. Well, thank God. But still, I mean, that's $150,000 in food prep, right? Yeah.
I mean,
because you didn't think about it in advance. Right.
You didn't think about it, and you didn't ask about it on the form.
Right.
If you're coming to this event, you're buying a ticket, you had to fill out a 2-page form. Why wasn't one of the questions, what can you safely eat?
Right.
What can you do to accommodate? What do you need?
And
they could have at least accommodated a majority of people.
Right. Yeah. Well, okay. So that just brings me to the word accommodate, right? I was in a session on ADA a couple of weeks ago, which is a really great session. It was at, I forgot the name of the group up in DC, and it was all about ADA. And
Social Economic Alliance or social?
No, it was an event planning conference.
Okay.
And these two people were talking about it, about Americans with Disabilities Act and just to, you know, accommodating disabilities. But I like the thing that one of them said is like, the word accommodations means you didn't actually plan for it, right? You didn't design your event with intent to make it inclusive, to make it hospitable, right? And so the word accommodation means you have to make a change to what you did because you didn't think about it. And that cost that company $200,000 because of that. Yep. That's mind-blowing.
And what most organizers don't want to deal with, that there is a cost for not being inclusive.
Right. Yeah. And I mean, with your book, I mean, is there any other examples of that cost of not being inclusive?
Not the cost, because I haven't had too many people, you know, I had the benefit of being on that board.
Right. Yeah.
And being, eat your grits.
Right. Or kiss my grits. Let's give Flo some credit there. Yeah.
Right. I like eat because obviously it's an allergy thing.
Right. True. That's very true. You can't. Yes. Yeah. Eat my grits for me because I can't.
Yeah. Yeah. So there, I don't have too many more like cost examples, but if you think about, there are other costs that organizations are going through, and it's the same like the food industry. You're losing money. The organization I'm in, membership is dropping. People don't want to join. Well, if you can't accommodate, if you're not doing the basics to make sure people can get in the front door, why would they join your group?
Right. Right. Yeah.
And they're like, well, we don't have people like that in our attending. Well, of course not. And they can't get in the front door.
Right. Yeah. 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 Well, and I was on a planning committee for another event for next year, and they were talking about, it's in Savannah, and I'm like, okay, well, is this? And they're like, hey, we have to go from room to room and go to the other side of the building because it's not a huge hotel, but whatever. I'm like, okay, so this is Savannah. I'm like, is this hotel accessible? And they're like, yeah, it was built in the last 7 years and whatever. And somebody's like, well, that's Tracy. Good for Tracy to say, hey, we're going to do this. But I'm like, I want to go look at it. Right. And I have 2 wheelchairs in my house. Maybe I go take my dad and, and see if we can get in there. Right. And how is that movement from place to place? And I even years ago, a big major hotel, I did a site visit on, and the space they were giving me was on 2 different floors. And I had like 1,200 people or whatever. And there was like 2 elevators and an escalator bank. I'm like, you really want my whole group to go from here to here, in that time frame? And I wasn't even thinking about the accessibility of attendees, but just the movement of people in general.
Yeah.
I'm like, you can't make me move that many people in that short of an amount of time. I'm going to have to readjust my entire agenda,
Yep.
Yeah.
I've had a similar experience. So I was in Texas for an event, and I won't name drop the hotel. I should, but I won't. And they said they were accessible. And the committee organizers told me, yeah, they told us they're accessible. You're fine. In order for me to get to one of the rooms, I had to go outside the front door of the hotel, walk halfway around the building to come in a side door that didn't have stairs. And that's accessible.
Mm-hmm. Right.
I'm like, that's not,
yeah.
I know that is an accessible doorway. It really isn't accessible for an event though. Not one. And it was the same situation. They used a basement level and they used the main level. There was only one elevator bank to get down to the basement, and it broke. And for 8 hours, the elevator was out and the people with disabilities were stuck in the basement. Nobody was. Like, it literally took a couple of us to hunt through the basement looking for the employee elevator, which was blocked with chairs. So we had to move chairs out of the way to get people into the elevator so we could get upstairs. And that was like 2 hours. And like, had we waited, we would have been down there for a full day. We would have missed all the events because everything had moved upstairs by that point. Like, and nobody cared. Nobody looked for us. They're like, oh, the elevator's down. Okay. You have disabled people there. Why aren't you looking? Sorry.
Well, no, and I'm doing a webinar for North Star Meetings Group at 2:00 today, and we're talking about contracting and how to create wonderful food and beverage events, within budget and things like that. But that's a conversation to have. I'm like, where, because planners are always, we get dinged by hotels. Like, if you don't meet this deadline, I'm like, but if my event has individuals who utilize wheelchairs and they can't get to the spaces, you need to refund me my money. Right. Or there has to be repercussions back to the venue or, because you didn't meet the needs of my program.
Yep.
Yeah.
One of the things I told the organizers to do, because I ended up, because of the setup and their accessibility, I ended up getting injured physically day 1 of a 3-day event. So I filed a complaint, and I said, the easiest thing to do is when you're looking for a venue, take your phone, walk through the event. Even if you don't have an available wheelchair, pretend you have a wheelchair and you can't use stairs. How do you get around? How long does it take you to go from the farthest end of the basement to the farthest end of the primary floor without using stairs? And you're going to record it, because what you're going to do is you're going to put that recording on, you're going to go live with that. And you're going to say, not live right then, but you're going to put it up on your social media when you're talking about your event venue. This is what accessibility looks like. If you have mobility issues, this is what your experience will look like getting from room to room. It's not that difficult. I get hotels might not want that. And if they say, no, you can't do that, then you're like, you're not getting my money, and you go somewhere else. Maybe find a venue that A, doesn't care, or is all on one level.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. So what's the business cost of this? Right. I mean, for not doing this, are there stats on that?
There's no stats, because who's tracking it? I ask the questions nobody wants to track.
Right. Yeah. Exactly. Yeah.
Right. And then how do you track that? Do you do a pop-up near the end. Did you choose not to go to this event? Can you tell us why?
Right. Mm-hmm.
Do the pop-up, like,
or the incomplete registrations. Why did you choose not to come? Right.
Well, if there's an incomplete registration, that's a red flag. Where did they stop?
Right.
Like you can get a lot of detail by looking at incomplete registrations. Go through it and think about someone in a different perspective. So I think there's data in there. We're just not following it. I think the biggest indicator is, have your events consistently gotten better over the time and you're still bringing in money, or is it a slow decline? And slowly declining, that means you're no longer hitting the people who need to be at your event. So now you do have to take into consideration food and accessibility, because those are the main things hitting American consumers today.
Right. Yeah. So, okay. So let's look at it positively, right? Okay. What is, from a business standpoint, what's one simple shift that a venue could do, an event could do, from your perspective and the research in the book, to create an immediate trust with the hidden consumer?
Be transparent. It's not that there's a great, if you go to the Hidden Consumer Facebook page, there is a video from September 3rd on there where I literally walk people through what my event setup looks like. I walk them through. I do a full on of the dessert table with all the labels so they can see every single thing. I'm being open and honest. What I missed was I didn't do that in advance, right?
Okay.
So for the event, you need to market and talk about what you're doing to be accessible to a variety of people, whether it's food, whether it be quiet rooms, or maybe it's planned an event that is all on one floor and you've got space. There are groups that have changed the setup of their banquet room based on my talking to them, but they don't advertise that they changed it. So if you think ADA for a banquet room setup, chairs pushed in is the measurement for getting a wheelchair through.
Right. Yeah. And that annoys the crap out of me.
Right. This organization actually went as far as to change that measurement. So whatever it is supposed to be is now double. So the chair comes out and then they make sure they can get a wheelchair through. They never talk about it.
Well, and
who's going to know you're doing it if you don't tell people? They're not going to show up.
Right, exactly. I went to, a couple of years ago, I spoke at an event that was the inclusion conference. I won't name the organization, but it was the inclusion conference. And my first thought going into the keynote speaker is that somebody in a wheelchair, utilizing a wheelchair, cannot get into this room.
Yeah.
I mean, they could literally, the chairs were so crammed that they could not get into the keynote speaker. And I'm like, how are you promoting the fact that this is a conference on this and you're not designing your event to meet that need? I'm like, mind blowing, right? And putting your Facebook. Yeah.
And the other side of it was, you have a lot of people that have hearing issues or vision issues now. So you can't just have a keynote speaker and not have the TVs and have it closed captioned. Keynote speakers write their speeches out in advance. You can literally type that in. Oh, okay. The events I've been to, they have been required.
Okay.
Which, it's great. You're doing that extra step. Why aren't you talking about it? People who have hearing issues. What we're doing for this event is our keynote speakers, our speakers, everyone who will be on stage is required to submit their script so we can close caption it for you.
Interesting. Okay.
Again, how many more people are going to show up because you thought of them without you even realizing it?
Right. Yeah. Yeah, because we joke about how the closed captioning is incorrect at the bottom, right?
Right. And if I had to do it, it would still be incorrect because I like to ad lib.
Well, that's my thing. Yeah. I mean, I create my slides. Right. The gist is there. So I can talk. And I actually tried to do that. I did write a speech earlier this year to do it. And I got up there and one sentence in, I said to the audience, I'm sorry, I completely forgot my speech. And then I just ad-libbed. And the poor guy, the sound guy, I had given him clues of when to play sounds, and he didn't have any clues because I totally ad-libbed it from there. But nobody would have known because I knew my stuff, right?
Yeah.
I know my content. But at the same time, I would never have been able to give a script to them to do that. Yeah. I mean, I did give it to him. I didn't follow it, but yeah. So, I mean, but that makes, that's where, applications, and even if it's spelled incorrectly, maybe, the closed captioning is so important.
Yeah.
Right.
And,
yeah.
And it's little things like that people don't think about. There was an event I was hearing about, and someone who had attended this event was like, I was so impressed. They actually prepared a table and space for people who needed this accommodation. And I'm like, that is so cool. I said, how cool would it have been, though, if they would have actually marketed that in advance so more people could have attended? And it was like, everyone's like, oh my God, that's so insightful. I'm like, how insightful is it to be a good person and to tell people you want them there and you're giving them the accommodation without knowing you're going to be there?
Yeah.
I mean, I get it. As someone in marketing, sometimes it's a hard line because you don't want to come across like you're trying to market on someone else's disability. But you know what? From my perspective as someone who has mobility issues, if you're making space for me and you're putting thought into it without me telling you, I am more likely to attend your event.
Right. Well, I mean, and one lady, and I use this story a lot. I chatted with a woman who used to work at the Hotel Dale, and we were talking about accessibility at the property. And like, if you're going to do a beach event, right, at the hotel in San Diego, she's like, if you tell that person who utilizes the wheelchairs, mobility challenges, or mobility needs, if you only tell that one person that that's how they're getting out to the beach, are you calling out that disability, to everyone else? Why not design the entryway so that's how everyone gets there, right? And then I also point out, I do it in my slides. I'm like, I tell that story, and then I'm like, okay, and what happens when they get to the end of that walkway, right? Yeah. Do you have walkways through the whole thing? Have you, so, right. Or are they stuck right there at the end and just watching everybody walk by and eating, right? Yeah.
Yep. Yeah. And that's a great example. It's like, and what's interesting is how many people have mobility issues that won't tell you.
Right. And
that was one of the big things that I learned. That conference I got injured at, I raised holy hell. Like, I'm like, this is not acceptable. The amount of people who are conference attendees who had knee issues or leg pains, but didn't use a walker, a wheelchair, they're like, thank you so much for saying things, because this will probably be our last event that we attend, because there's no way. This event showed that this group can't accommodate basic and be just simple, make sure everybody can enjoy and get to each room that they need to.
Right.
So,
well, and that reminds me, and I've told this story before when I speak too, is that I planned an event at Epcot years ago, probably 20 years ago, and we did a scavenger hunt. And this gentleman, and this was an internal event, and this gentleman said to me, I really wish I'd known I would be walking 3 to 5 miles today, before we got to this event. And I said, well, why? And he goes, well, he's a former NFL football player, and he has a pain management. His medicine is dispersed through a machine on his side. He goes, I would have changed the disbursement of my medication in advance if I had known. And I'm like, oh my gosh, those are things that, like, hey, just to let you know, we're going to be walking 5 miles today, right? You could be walking up to 5 miles today.
And not enough people are doing that yet. I think I see that more and more where, hey, by the way, at this event, this is what it's set up. You might end up walking this many miles. Like, cool. Or, but, and again, it goes back to, we have that hidden consumer who has health issues. That's a health issue. Just because you're an former NFL player doesn't mean someone else isn't going to have that exact same problem.
Exactly.
So so many people, it impacts so many people in this country that we're just ignoring because we don't know what to do. And it's not that hard. Communicate.
Communicate. Exactly. Yeah. Talk to them. Ask the questions. Right. And if they're not willing to share, that's their choice. Right. Yeah. Yeah.
Excellent. Yeah. And they shouldn't have to be put on the spot. Not everybody wants to be like the face of, I'm going to cause all your problems because it's going to get fixed. I'm okay being that advocate.
Right. Yeah. And I am too. I'm like, okay, hey, I am the person that's going to come in here and look at your menus and tell you what works and what doesn't work, and really diving into it. Yeah.
Yeah.
Okay. I have some rapid fire questions for you.
Okay.
My first question here, and you can tell me if you can eat this or not, but guacamole with or without cilantro?
I can't do guacamole. It would have to be homemade, and I don't have the time and patience for that. I have to make enough food.
And why can't you tell me why you can't do the guacamole?
Because if I buy like prepackaged stuff, it's just automatically going to have some kind of a corn derivative, or the packaging itself is going to make me sick. So
okay. And if they're doing it in a restaurant, the avocado is probably fine because it's not been in a package. But
no, it's probably not certified organic from wherever local it is. It's going to be coming. More than likely, it'll be imported from like Mexico, and then it will be sprayed and not raised organically. So not an
okay. So do you like cilantro, or does cilantro make your mouth taste soapy?
I haven't had cilantro in ages. I don't remember it making me. I don't remember tasting soap though. So I don't think it's a big deal. Not my favorite.
Right. Okay. Right. All right. If you could wave a magic wand, and make one ingredient label crystal clear for everyone, what would it be?
Natural flavors. It's where everything that's not natural goes to hide. Oh no, I got my.
I can still hear you. You're good.
Oh, okay. Well, that's good. Like internet.
Yeah.
Not today. No, natural flavors is where everything goes to hide. You don't see corn fructose or high fructose corn syrup on labels anymore because it's hiding in natural flavors.
Interesting. And is it a small amount of it, or could still be a big amount?
It can be a main ingredient, but it doesn't have to be labeled as a main ingredient.
Interesting. That's really scary. Okay. If you could host a hidden consumer-friendly dinner anywhere in the world, where would it be?
Honestly, it would be where I just came back. In June, my husband and I celebrated our 25th wedding anniversary.
Congratulations.
Thank you. The Alsatian region of France. So it's the border between like Germany and Switzerland and then France. And I would do a meal there because they are all about organic food. So it's highly likely we could accommodate almost everybody who needed some kind of food sensitivity issue. We would be able to take care of in that region.
And the labeling over in Europe is much stronger. I mean, it's been around. The required labeling has been around for at least 11 years. So
well, and they recognize more things than the U.S. does. They still don't recognize corn, but you don't need to recognize corn. You just need to be transparent with what's in your food, which they absolutely are. Like I did really good eating at regional restaurants. I just not so much at the French cuisine restaurants.
Okay. All right.
That was totally different thought process there. So.
Oh yeah. Yeah. That would be like going to a regular mom and pop, in general. Yes. Okay. What's one book besides your own, that inspired you to think about food or business?
My book is so different and off the wall, and I'm bringing in products and thought processes that no one's ever introduced before, that I don't think, if anything, everything in my sphere was just an influence to say, you're thinking about this differently and we need to put it into process. So I don't think there's one book. I've got to look at my
and pull that book. What's that orange book back there? Bring that forward. I want to see it.
The book. It went live yesterday.
Woohoo! Yes. Okay.
Super small. Super
okay.
Small. You can see my
letters.
Yeah. Not completely ADA friendly, because hidden should have been outlined in black or white to make it pop off the orange background. So some people aren't going to be able to see the word hidden. The word hidden is hidden. Good job.
Well, okay. So just talking about colors, I was at a restaurant last night in town, and they say anything written in blue is gluten-free. And there's one salad that's written in blue, and then the other ones are in red. And then all the steamed products are gluten-free. And I'm like, well, I'm like, what on this salad has gluten in it? And she's like, well, there's nothing, but it's one of our signature dishes, so it's in red. I'm like, so my discussion with my friend is like, so don't label them blue, put an icon next to them, right? Because now you're losing out on sales because you said it's by color. And then if somebody's colorblind, they can't read that.
Best story for that. Oh my gosh. We went to a restaurant, not a restaurant, a winery in Temecula. Their colors are black and red. They handed my husband, who's colorblind, partially colorblind, a black menu with red font. He handed it back, goes, why did you hand me a blank piece of paper? And he can't see it. Red and black for people who are partially colorblind or colorblind is all the same color.
Wow.
So my question is, what's the background color of that menu? Because if it's blue or red, it's highly likely someone can't read what is.
It's cream. So yeah.
Okay, so not bad.
Not bad. But in a restaurant, I'm like looking at blue, discerning. I'm trying to use this word, blue from black, right? In a restaurant when the lights are dimmed, I'm like, that's going to be near impossible, right? Just put a freaking GF next to it or whatever, right?
That's all you have to do. Like,
right.
You want it to be different, but it makes it harder.
Right. Exactly. Yeah. All right. Last question, my friend, and I can listen to you laugh all day long. You and my friend Julie, finish this sentence. Every meal should
be open to everybody there. I don't know how else to put it, but every meal should be inclusive, not accommodating, inclusive. Mm-hmm. One of the things I wrote in my book is I attended a family holiday event, not during the holiday, but it was afterwards. They made food. There was nothing there I could eat. So I left the house for 4 hours. I went shopping. Nobody knew I was gone.
That's
like
sad,
it made moving to California so much easier. Knowing that my presence wasn't needed. And when it comes to family events, food is what brings people together. And if you have people who can't eat what you're providing, or you ridicule them, they're going to stop showing up. Mm-hmm. So how important is food more important than your family? And in my case, food was more important than family. So
wow. Oh, yeah. All right. All right. How can everybody get your book? I don't know how to handle that. I'm like, that's just like, so like, I want to give you a reach through here and give you a hug.
But when you're eating at a meeting, is your food more important than the people who are trying to support you? Mm-hmm. And more often than not, it is. Food is more important than the people there to support you.
Right. Yeah.
That's the bottom line.
Right. So use the food to enhance that importance of the people, right? Yeah. Mm-hmm.
We value you. We want you there. How can we make it happen?
Mm-hmm. Mm-hmm. Right. Mm-hmm. Oh my goodness, it's heart-wrenching.
Hey, you want more stories like that?
Yes. Okay, there's how you can get. Oops, I need to change that. Let me fix that real quick.
It's going to be hiddenconsumer.com / I have to get the redirect fixed so that it goes when you type in the hiddenconsumer.com and goes
there we
right
go.
there.
The hiddenconsumer.com / home. And then I will, here's the link to the Amazon thing, but I will put that in the chat.
And you can buy it anywhere. You can go to your local bookstore and buy the book. So
okay. All right.
It's available everywhere. And soon internationally.
Yay. Amy, thank you so much. I mean, this has been so enlightening, even more enlightening than last time. And here's her link on LinkedIn as well. But thank you for doing what you're doing.
You're welcome.
And thank you for giving me the time to be here.
Anytime. You're my favorite host.
Thank you.
Let's do this.
We can totally do this again. And I'm hoping to see you in San Diego or outside of San Diego in December. So
I'm here. I'm not moving.
Okay.
Not yet.
Okay. All right. Awesome. Well, everybody, thank you so much for tuning in. We had a couple of people over here on Instagram. Nancy, I think you've been here the whole time. Thank you. Fiona, Spring, Royal, Toby. Appreciate you being here and tuning in. And everybody, until next time, stay safe and eat well. And let Amy and I know if you have any questions about eating at a meeting and need some help. Thanks.